We needed to work together. We provided different services. The only thing that made sense was having an informal organization so that we could build things up for the industry of business improvement districts. And I was the first chairman of that, and we created bylaws, and now all of the managers, the CEOs of the business improvement districts throughout the city are members of it. And I'm losing count. I think it's 67, and it's getting larger. One of my colleagues was kind enough to produce a summary sheet in Spanish of what are now 69. See, they grew 2 already as I was sitting here. 69 business improvement districts, and explains an overview of them.
Have you got a problem with street vendors illegal?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was one of the fundamental things that we organized for. I'll come back to the service question because I gave you a broad overview.
Okay.
I'll come back to the service question, then I'll answer this. The way business improvement districts are created, services are determined by the board of directors of each individual business improvement district. So, from one to another, the services are different. In this business improvement district, we have 3 large fundamental services and a couple of others, but the 3 large ones are, top of the list is security, which includes what I'm going to address in just a moment. We hire our own security guards to patrol 5th Avenue. And in fact, in the city of New York, there was no area that's patrolled more intensely than in our area. We have one every 2 or 3 blocks, one guard every 2 or 3 blocks. And that's linear. It doesn't require going all the way around the blocks. So that's very intense. The second is sanitation. Over time, the city of New York has limited the amount of sanitation that it provides throughout the entire city. So we wanted to supplement that. The sanitation department, for instance, comes and picks up trash on 5th Avenue very early in the morning and very late at night because there's so much traffic during the day. So it makes sense for them to do that. That's not enough for us. So we hire our own truck. We contract with a firm to come down 2 times a day.
2 times a day.
About 10:30 in the morning and about 2:30 in the afternoon. Because at some corners, when we empty trash receptacles, and then we bag them and place them for collection, we'll get 7 or 8 in 2 or 3 hours. Because there's so much pedestrian activity, so much tourist activity. During the summer, during the spring, at St. Patrick's Cathedral, people sit on the steps and eat lunch. Every half hour, the receptacles overflow. When I was proposing this business improvement district, one of the things I did to demonstrate what it could do was I got a grant and provided a small number of sanitation workers over just 4 blocks and intensely cleaned those areas to demonstrate to everybody else what the benefit would be. So you will see that if you're here a couple of days. I don't know when you're leaving. But right now, because of the snow,
Yeah.
sanitation doesn't pick up. We will probably have our truck out there somewhere around 11 o'clock or later. Just one sec. Hey, John?
Yes, Chief. Yes.
Do you think we're going to have a pickup today?
I kind of don't think so.
This is John
How do you
Petrera.
do? How are
He
you?
heads
Nice
up
to meet you.
our sanitation unit and is a former superintendent of a New York City district, supervising all the sanitation in that area. So, no pickup from the sanitation department. Are we going to have our own truck, do you think?
I believe we should. It doesn't look that drastic out there today, so I don't think they're going to go with a full. It doesn't look like a plow storm to us.
No.
Usually when it's a plow storm, they put plows on all the trucks that are available. They come out and they do it. But when it's not, they just send the salt spreaders out.
Yeah.
And then they start resuming the normal collections of the baskets on the corners and household collections.
Okay, good.
So that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, let me know.
All right.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Thank
you.
So we have a crew out there that goes up and down the avenue. On a day like today, they'll split their time, making sure that the intersections are cleared of snow. Each building takes care of the front of their stores and their entrances, but we concentrate on the intersections so that our visitors and our workers can go back and forth and up and down the avenue. The third major service is advocacy, and that is a broad term. The best example I can give you leads me into your question. I found in the late 1980s, early 1990s, that the problem with illegal vendors, most of which was selling counterfeit merchandise, but there were other problems, could not be addressed unless we changed laws, both in New York City and in New York State. So at the top of my list for advocacy was going to the city council and going to the state legislature and getting them to change laws so that we could effectively assist the police in controlling the illegal vending out on the street. That's a very simplified overview of what we've done, because there are many, many parts to that. I would say we've changed about 7 or 8 laws, and those 7 or 8 laws, sometimes there are attempts to amend them. We have to go back and argue about them. We also work with, again, a degree of advocacy in that broad category. We work with the owners of trademarks where the counterfeiting is occurring. So we work with Rolex and their enforcers. They have private people. They can go to the federal courts and get an order to seize merchandise that's counterfeit of their products. I don't know if you have that in Argentina. That might be something worth talking about.
Yeah.
So we have a very effective crew in enforcing these laws that have developed over 2 decades. I would say we're the best in the city. We're the best in the city on a number of levels. Probably one of the most humorous to me. And I was in Manhattan overnight, and I had, I didn't tell my staff, I did an inspection of the avenue late at night to see how things were. And after our staff leaves, illegal peddlers come out. I'm very proud of that. Now, why would I be proud of that? Because they know when we're on duty, and they're not here. Because we are effective in enforcement, their merchandise will get confiscated, and they just may go to jail. So when I see them at night, when our staff isn't here, I'm very proud of the work that our staff does. They keep it away during the daytime and when they're here. If we worked 24 hours a day, we'd probably have no peddlers at all. But the expense of that is out of the range of what we want to do.
Yeah.
And after 7, 8 o'clock at night, the stores are closing down. There's not that much reason to fight that battle. There are many nuances to how we address that issue. I'll give you one more example of what was a particularly difficult problem. Although we spend a lot of time dealing with anti-counterfeit activity, we also try to control some of the food vending activity because they violate existing laws. Example, during the day, the law says, and yes, we got this law, that food vendors cannot be on Fifth Avenue sidewalk. They can be on the side street. So if you walk up and down Fifth Avenue today, they're supposed to be behind the property line on Fifth Avenue. What they would often do is come out 6 or 8 feet, and some of them would even block the crosswalks. They would say they're on the side street, not on Fifth Avenue. Well, of course they're on Fifth Avenue too. We went to our local council member. We drafted a bill that changed how the law was enforced. They would get many summonses, but they'd never pay them. Why wouldn't they pay them? Because of a quirk in the law. The cart is owned by one person, but he hires somebody else who has a license to prepare food. And then after about 1.5 to 2 years, he disappears. The guy who owned the cart didn't get the summonses. So he would play this game. He'd just replace whoever was doing the selling. So we went to the council member and said, we want to change the law 5 words, which essentially means the cart owner is guilty too. Right?
Yeah.
Now, they will stay behind the property line. Some violate it. We have just elected a new mayor. In the last 20 years, under Mayor Giuliani and Mayor Bloomberg, there has been very strong enforcement. We are concerned that under this mayor, that enforcement is going to be weakened. So we are testing it. So you may see some of them sticking out a little bit, but most of them will be behind the line. And they might try it a little in the snow because they know we're doing shoveling.
Sure.
How many people work in the business in Private District of Fifth Avenue?
Right now, 41.
41.
Yes. Most of them are security.
Most of security.
We have very small administrative staff.
Very small, yeah.
Very small. We put 90% of our money into the security and the sanitation and advocacy work.
And how many retailers collaborate with the association?
That changes every day. Walking up Fifth Avenue last week, I noticed that one of the stores closed. So I will tell you that today it's 156. But it changes.
It changes.
You pay a tax or collaborate with the bid?
We use a formula, and different business improvement districts use different formulas. Our formula is so many cents per square foot for the entire building, because we think it benefits the commercial property owner as well and the tenants that are in the upper floors. It's just below 17 cents a square foot. And we have approximately 17 million square feet. So that produces a budget of just around $3 million. Now, not everyone is taxed. We don't tax residences. We don't tax churches, not-for-profit corporations. But by and large, all of the retailers, all of the commercial tenants, and all of the property owners are all part of the tax mechanism. And we have to get an approval from the city if we increase it. For 2 years now, we have not gone to the city for an approval because we've been able to manage our funds and I'm thinking this year, the process begins in April, I'm probably going to be able to go for 3 years without an increase. 1 year from now, we'll probably get about a 3% increase. Now, in terms of services, one of the things we don't do, and many other bids do, is promoting the district. Times Square, for instance, spends an enormous amount of money promoting Times Square. I said to my board of directors early on, you would be wasting your money to promote Fifth Avenue. The number one destination for tourists is Fifth Avenue. If you buy a New York Times today, and you turn to page 2 and 3, on the sides of the page are advertisements. 1/3 of them are from my district. Tiffany will take out full-page ads. They cost approximately $50,000 a day. Now, if I've got companies paying $50,000 a day to promote a portion of Fifth Avenue, and Saks and Bergdorf Goodman and Cartier and Harry Winston, they all do the same thing, how am I going to add to that? Yeah. So we don't spend money to promote districts. Where there is a need to try to draw tourists into a district, people provide different kinds of programming and marketing. We don't do that. And that's an important thing about the difference of business improvement districts from one place to another. They choose with their board of directors what services they're going to provide. That's a very quick snapshot of a phenomenon that I have seen over these 26 years. When I first came here, we had very low-end retail activity, bordering on, and in some cases actually being, criminal. Fake going out of business sales. I don't know if that means something to you. A retailer, mostly selling very cheap materials, would pretend they were going out of business and mark down the prices 80%. Tourists who did not know the actual rates, the exchange rates, and what the competitors were selling would go into that store because the sign would be a story high. It would be 30 feet high. Going out of business. They never went out of business. It was just a way to trick tourists into buying bad merchandise, like a watch that wouldn't work by the time you got home. We got rid of them. Again, changing the law, working with the police department, working with consumer affairs. Why do I bring that up? Because there are never articles about that kind of progress. People don't know the history. They look at something, they see a couple of stores changing, and they reach a conclusion right away. You have to go back and look at what happened before. So this has not been a problem on Fifth Avenue. There has always been a mix of high-end products, which is the most prominent. But yes, there are always competing at a lower market level, and that's fine with us. That is a good mix, and it brings tourists. If you, again, walk on Fifth Avenue, you will see tourists with a Tiffany bag and an H&M garment bag. H&M is a lower price store, but that brings more people in because of the mix. We are fine with that.
Tom, for the Confederation Small and Medium Enterprise of Argentine, for the Federation of Retail and Industry for Buenos Aires City, it's a luxury for interview. Thank you very much.
Okay. So very nice.